Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Rushcliffe series. This is the southernmost district in Nottinghamshire and it contains 59 civil parishes of England. And there's some corkers down here. Let's dive in and check one out. Welcome back to Rushcliffe, everybody. Now, as you can see, this morning it's still very dark, but it will be light soon. The sun is rising over there, which means that before long you will see where I am. Well, I'll tell you where I am anyway. This is the A60, and on the A60 there's a wood in this place. You can just see the trees there. Can't see much more because it's too dark, but I can sort of show you where this wood is located if you will kindly come with me. There's a sign here, you probably can't read it because it's too dark, but that says Bonei Wood Nature Reserve, because this morning, folks, we're in the parish of Bonei. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Bonei, Reed Island. Here's a good one for the time of year. This, folks, is Bonei, a village deep in the heart of Rushcliffe between Nottingham and Loughborough. It's got a great name, this one, hasn't it? You might see the odd rabbit here and there, but Bonei's name is actually nothing to do with our furry little friends. Instead, it means Reed Island, and Bune is the Old English word for a reed. In the Domesday Book, it appears as Bonei. There's been a settlement on the site of Bonei since pre-Norman times, perhaps as far back as the days of the Roman Empire. In 1751, gypsum was found in Bonei, giving rise to a booming industry. This, along with brickmaking, was at the heart of the village's economy for over 200 years. Several of the oldest properties that stand here are made of brick, incidentally. Most can be attributed to one man, Sir Thomas Parkyns, who lived in the most significant building here, Bonei Hall. He was quite a character and one of the earliest aficionados of wrestling in England. Wrestling matches were even held at Bonei Hall. Parkyns lies in the chancel of St Mary's Church, where there's a monument depicting him in the act of wrestling. If he were alive now, I wonder what he would have made of the likes of The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's go and see his village. We start in the dark on Bonei Hill at the Bonei Oldwood Nature Reserve. Its more official name is Bonei Oldwood West. This is an ancient woodland and was even referred to in the Domesday Book. It has two main pieces of history. It's likely it was used by Saxon settlers as a source of wood, and in 1487 Henry VII and his army camped either in it or nearby on their way to the Battle of East Stoke. It was a managed woodland until the 1920s, when it was clear-felled. It was then left unmanaged for many years until the Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust acquired it as a nature reserve in the 1980s. Wildlife here is widespread. Greater and lesser spotted woodpeckers are among more than 50 bird species to have been recorded in the wood. Covering 16 hectares, Bonei Oldwood is open to the public. It has loads of waymarked footpaths which wind their way through a sea of coppiced ash and field maple. There are some plans afoot to build a new solar farm nearby. Named the Oldwood Energy Project and fronted by Exogen, it would have an export capacity of 49.9 megawatts, which is equivalent to the annual electricity usage of 17,500 UK homes. Despite not being on Greenbelt land, the project is not to everyone's liking. Okay, so here we are then in the main village. I've parked at the northern end. Bonei is sort of in two parts. You've got a northern bit and a southern bit with a long road in between. Not really possible to make a circular walk out of this, but I've tried my best. So let's see what happens. So let's get walking around and see what Bonei is all about. It's got plenty of landmarks and lots of little buildings and cottages which look fantastic. Very, very old too. This is Loughborough Road, or the A60 if you will, upon which the long linear village of Bonei is located. Our first job is to capture this local bus stop, located between the two ends of the village. Bonei is on the route of the 863 to Keyworth and the number 9 between Loughborough and Nottingham. Two industries have always been at the heart of Bonei. One was gypsum burning, which began in the 1750s. In 1936, a diviner living on Bonei Hill found gypsum for a second time here. This led to the creation of a factory nearby for the making of gypsum products. The other industry was brickmaking. Both greatly increased Bonei's population, and plenty of houses here are made of brick. The most significant building in Bonei lies behind this high wall. That's Bonei Hall, which was originally built in the 1570s. It was occupied by the Parkyns family for more than 300 years. Without a doubt, the most famous member of that family was Sir Thomas Parkyns. Known as the Wrestling Baronet, he's connected to most of Bonei's oldest buildings. Here's a bit more about him. Sir Thomas Parkyns was born in Bonei in 1664 at Bonei Hall. His father, also Thomas, was involved in the local politics of Nottingham, opposing as a Whig the surrender of the town's charter. Sir Thomas would enter Gray's Inn as a student in 1682, and in 1684 he succeeded his father in the baronetcy, becoming the second Baronet Parkyns. He was an active justice of the peace and sat on magistrates' commissions for Leicestershire and Nottinghamshire from 1684 until his death. In 1689 he was High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire. He was a major landowner, a competent mathematician and an architect. It was he who erected Bonei's free school and almshouse, restored the large chancel of St Mary's Church and rebuilt all the farmhouses. He constructed manor houses at Bonei, Eastleek and Costock, along with a 3-mile-long park wall, the first of its kind in England, supported wholly on arches. He also planted the hills with woods, founded an aqueduct and a decoy, and built what is now the north wing of Bonei Hall to his own design between 1723 and 1725. To cap it all, he was also behind the Hall's tower. As famous as he must have been for his work, it was his love of wrestling for which he is most fondly remembered, and was a prominent figure in the grappling sport in the Georgian era. He even established an annual wrestling match in Bonei Park, the first edition taking place in 1712 and the last in 1810. His favourite servants were wrestlers who had given him a fall. He died in Bonei in 1741 and is buried in the chancel of St Mary's Church. To honour his love of wrestling, he has a monument which depicts the man himself in the act of wrestling, with an inscription penned by Dr. Robert Friend. Back to the village, and here we have the Rushcliffe Arms. This is one of the buildings that can be attributed to Parkyns. Originally a farmhouse, this became a coaching inn and was later extended and converted into a public house. The name Rushcliffe is a sideways reference to the Parkyns. In 1795, Thomas Boothby Parkyns was created the first Baron Rushcliffe. He was a soldier, the MP for Stockbridge in 1784 and then for Leicester in 1790. Right next to the pub is Thomas Parkyns Close, and I doubt the name of this street needs any explanation. Aside from the pub, Bonei's only other retail facility is this petrol station at the foot of Loughborough Road. There are no shops in the village, or any small businesses of note for that matter. Rather, it's a varied collection of housing, emanating from its central junction. After making our way back north, we find a little board that gives us a snapshot of Bonei's history. It mentions several buildings, including St Mary the Virgin's Church. This is originally 14th century and it's Grade 1 listed. The initial 14th century build was temporarily halted by the spread of the plague into Bonei in 1350. Since then it's been greatly developed. The nave and aisles are built of loosely coursed rubble, quite different from the hewn squared stone of the chancel and the tower. It was restored in 1718 by Sir Thomas Parkyns. There were also later restorations in the 1890s and in 1911. The south porch with its stone seats was added in the 15th century. Inside there's an oak screen, also 14th century, and the vestry has a medieval armoury, a cupboard where the sacred vessels are kept. The current organ is by J.W. Walker & Sons and it dates from 1909. It was reconstructed in 1916 by Charles Lloyd. The church is in a joint parish with Bradmore Mission Room, St Mary Magdalene's Church at Keyworth and All Saints Church at Stanton-on-the-Wolds. So get this, ironically, the further away from Bonei Hall you are, the more you can actually see it. There it is, there, just peeking out above these trees here. But you can't really see it when you're close up to it. Just how it is, I suppose. That's perspective for you. Right, so Main Street comes to an end and it turns into a footpath which we're going to follow for a short while, and then we're going to head back into the village, forming kind of a loop around this central section of Bonei, this southern section, and this will take us towards the Almshouse, which is a cracking building which you can't miss on the A60. To the west of Bonei is a beautiful stretch of glorious English countryside. These are the little-known Nottinghamshire Wolds. This path leads to Moor Lane, where we'll complete this little loop. The names of some of these fields still remain from early times. In 1795, 1,000 acres of land around Bonei were enclosed. At that time, residents here were very concerned for fear of an invasion by the French. As we head back towards the church, the old vicarage comes into view. Unsurprisingly, this was designed by Parkyns and it later became a private house. It's also listed, as are the next two buildings to pass. This is the Grange, built in the mid-18th century originally, but it has an 1843 extension. Around the corner is the much older White House, which dates from 1686. The primary school now. Children have been educated at school in Bonei for over 300 years. The first school was designed and built by Parkyns in 1700 and cost the princely sum of £400. The current school was built in 1968. We'll see both of Bonei's old schools shortly. First, it's the village green with this peculiar stone. I've no idea what this actually is. The land, though, I know a bit about. There was originally a farmyard on the site and it was purchased for the new school. It was put up for sale in 1983, eventually bought in 1986 and developed into the green. Here's the village hall opposite the green. This was built in the 1870s to provide a new school, replacing an original room in the almshouse next door. As a school, this new building gave more space, but it wasn't without its issues. It was damp, and although several cures were tried, even now the walls of the rooms are damp and still a problem to the parish council. The original rooms were also very dark. Windows have been added since, including one each in the south and west walls. Here's the notice board, by the way. Tick off Bonei, everyone. Perhaps Sir Thomas Parkyns' finest work, this is the almshouse which bears the Parkyns coat of arms. It was designed and built in 1700, and it was Parkyns' intention that this be a free school. It was not until 1709 that an official deed to that end was drawn up. The school was in the large room on the ground floor. As an almshouse, it was for 4 poor widows of both Bonei and Bradmore. Heading back to the start now, I opted to take a shortcut across this rather rough patch of ground via a footpath which leads to the allotments. This also features some more pretty countryside, as well as a small wood and a very distant view of Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station. Enjoy, folks! Okay, and with that, we are all the way around the parish of Bonei. Time to move on to the next one. And that'll do us for Bonei. Let's head north now to the next one, which also has some Parkyns related history, although nowhere near as much as this. We'll also be seeing a garden centre, lots of lovely red brick buildings, and perhaps the strangest church this channel has ever come across. Intriguing. See you there in a little while. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.